And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another movie review. Today is the last of the Sharknado movie reviews, and they literally called the last one the last Sharknado. It's about time. And you know what? At least they're self conscious about it. Because it really is about time for this franchise to die. This movie came out in 2021, which finally broke the continuity of a movie coming out every year. They were 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17, and then 4 year gap. So there's that. Can't really tell with most of the characters that there's been a 4 year gap. I don't know that wouldn't make sense if it was COVID. I don't know why that happened, but I don't know. But yeah, I watched this one alone because I left the marathon after the fifth movie because I wanted to watch the Pistons blow ass again. And Jeffy was falling asleep, so I watched the sixth one on my own. And I got some thoughts. Let's jump right into it. And this movie really feels unnecessary. This movie really feels unnecessary in so many ways. Like, they. I guess in a way they pull a no like what I wanted to see out of No Way Home with this movie, where he just goes back in time and reverses literally everything, and we get into this like more mythology type shit with like the Sharknadoes and how they have always been going on for centuries and centuries, and then he's gotta go like we do fucking time travel, like he fucking time travels. So the cliffhanger at the end of the fifth movie is that he's walking around with his wife's head in a bag, and there's nobody around anymore. All of a sudden, here comes an army truck with his son, who's now old, or older, I guess, in the car. And he's like, "Yeah, we got time travel, so you can go back and fix everything." And apparently, he assembled a gang. Now we got Nova. We've got the Mets fan brother-in-law or whatever he is, who died in the second movie in the subway with an alligator. And then of course, the wife. Now we've got two wives, right? The non-cyborg wife and the cyborg head wife. To me, though, it kind of feels like the fifth movie should have really been the end, because they just go back and undo everything, which you will see at the end here does work out, but it just feels a little bit of copping out, cheaping out, you know. I really and so they start out in dinosaur world, right, in the time of the dinosaurs, and you thought the CGI got better after a 4 year gap, so more time for production and also more technology. It didn't. It did not. It really is crazy over an 8 year span with six movies that there is zero improvement to the CGI at all. Um, and can I really not surprised? I really should be surprised, but at this point, I'm not that they can tame dinosaurs and use dinosaurs for time travel. Um, Also Neil deGrasse Tyson is here. Why? What? Why? Why? And there's more random references. I mean, they go through all different sorts of time periods. So there's like they do the dinosaurs, and then they do like the medieval ages, and then they do the American Revolution, and then they do like the Western Old West. Then they do like the '60s. But so that's kind of cool. I mean, there's some weird shit that we'll get to that kind of cultivates at the end, but there's some like they got the guy playing fucking Ben Franklin, and there's like a guy playing George Washington. I don't know if it was really supposed to be a parody or not, but they don't. I guess it's hard to know what they really looked like, but they could have been a little better. Those, in my opinion, but who knows? Oh, there's a lot of other things that just don't make any sense to me. Like the we find out that the guy from the Mets game is a history teacher, so he decides to stay with Ben Franklin in the American Revolution. Then he gets his name on the dollar bill, which I thought was cool. I thought that was really cool. Um, I like that. They don't really get into too much of the effects of time travel outside of fixing the Sharknadoes and a couple other things. Um, they really dive into Nova on this one too. It's been like her backstory has been talked about for most of the franchise about how she doesn't like sharks because her grandpa was killed by a shark and she has a shark bite scar and stuff like that. But there's some points in the rest of the franchise where they really hone in on it, where Finn and Nova really argue about it, and then they just kind of stop arguing about it. There's no real resolution to the argument, and they kind of just act like it never happened. Here, though, like once they really start to get into time travel, they really start to hone in on it, and they really start to actually address it. Um, Such as with they after they leave the 60s, instead of going back to the time of the first Sharknado 2013, I guess not really the first Sharknado, but the first one that started off the whole franchise 2013. Instead they instead she goes back to 1997 to save her grandpa, and it's honestly a pretty emotional interaction between Nova and Finn. But the whole time I can only think that, like, Finn, for the most part, to this point, I've actually kind of liked Finn as a character. He's not like a huge dick. Really good action sequences. Not the most animated character, but, you know, he has his moments here and there. But here, and he's always been a really good person to Nova through pretty much all the movie. But here, he is just a dick. Like, he is a gigantic dick. And then they really, I think, actually write this really, really well. Where, like, Nova's, like, sharing her entire life story and her backstory and why she's doing this and explaining how, like, oh, this is what you would do if it was for your kid or your wife or anything like that. So why is it any different for my grandpa, for me, you know? And she has a point. Like, she has a good point. And Finn's just like, yeah, fuck you. This is about me. This is about my wife. This is about me, 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 me. I'm like, fuck you, dude, for being so fucking selfish. Like, she brings up a great point, and you just don't do anything about it. And he actually convinces Nova to back out of it, and they were not going to save him until until the shark attack actually happens, and then he decides to switch it up at the last second, and he actually saves him at the expense of Nova dying for really the third time in this franchise, and he loses his wife too. Oh, by the way, the human Nova and the cyborg head were fighting the whole time, because that's a thing that happens in the Sharknado universe. And then after that, they go to the future, and they spend way too long in the future, because now the lady from the second movie is back, because they rescued her from the Wild West, and she's back doing things. And so, like, they go back and they are And then, like, the wife is now in control of everything. The wife head is, like, a thing, and I don't even know what the fuck's real or what's not at this point. But then there's, like, they spend a long time there. More time than I think was necessary, trying to figure it all out. And then they finally go back to the original scene on the boat with the two guys, the money, and all that shit. And then, which I thought was fine, like, finally going back, and then there's more domestic terrorism and shit between the wife and the wife head, and I'm trying to explain it. It's unexplainable. It really is. Because then they're, like, stuck in the tornado, and then there's, like, the all these other, like, historical figures come out. Then there's Hitler. Fucking Hitler comes out, and he gets eaten by a shark. The fuck? But then it does come together with a really nice ending. Where they undo all the damages. They save the grandpa. Nova's still alive. They do all these fun things and everything like that. But then, Finn is selling the bar or whatever, and the Home Alone dad's back and all that sort of stuff. So it comes together in a really nice ending. He gives off a nice emotional speech. All the characters are there. Everybody's happy. That's kind of what, like, Finn gets everything that he wants with the time travel, which is what I was hoping for in No Way Home. It would have made a good ending in No Way Home. And instead it was a bad ending, this was a good ending. But in contrast, No Way Home is a better movie. This movie's pretty bad. So, like, 6, 7, I guess? I don't know. Oh, but I forgot to mention a key character in these movies. It's not Finn, it's not Nova, it's not the kid. His name's Gil, by the way. Fish. Not the wife. It's the Today Show! They couldn't go one movie without the Today Show. It has to be at the end of the fucking movie. I don't get it. I just don't get it. That's it. That was a merciful end to this franchise. And that's it for my review of Sharknado, the last Sharknado. It's about time. I'm giving it a 4.5. 4.5. That ending was cool. 4.5. That's a merciful end to this franchise. Let's get into it for this review. If you've ever seen this movie, or any of these movies, let me know your thoughts about them in the comment section down below. What do you want us to do for our next marathon? We're going to try and knock out a few this summer. So, let us know in the comments. And anyways, it's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for the much more amazing content. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.